Good morning. Back on the street, as it were. Sitting on the curbside. Fortunately, not begging. But I think that at the state of play in Westminster, that we will soon have 600 plus people going to what used to be known as the Labour Exchange. And I bet you that'll be some horrific experience for them since they set it up. But the public have now given voice to the fact that they are completely and utterly fed up with the shenanigans that are going on in Parliament. You know, the constitutional questions are very important indeed. As you could read in many papers today, yesterday, some of the weekend magazines, what the constitutional implications are of what's going on in the House of Commons at the moment. It's absolutely horrific. We've broken almost every rule in the book that we've ever made and established precedent on a whole host of other things. So any future Parliament that's the first thing it will have to deal with. Otherwise, we're in a horrific situation of anything could happen. Anything. We'll never get anything done, just on principle. And that's what's lacking in this Parliament is principle. We don't have any of the MPs, most of the Cabinet, most of the senior opposition, with any principle left whatsoever. They are playing around with their own political beliefs, or following them with playing around with beliefs of the Cabinet, or they're playing the power game. When I said Cabinet, I meant the Cabinet on both sides, shadow Cabinet as well. Its entire parliamentary system has come under attack and has been twisted and turned to where nobody knows what on earth is going on. The obvious solution is an election. Let us, the people, decide. But you know, they're into this cozy relationship that they've got with the establishment situation. They're picking up nice checks, thank you. They're getting second houses, they're getting duck pond bird houses. They're getting all sorts of things out of the situation as it is presently. Which means that they're not going to give it up very quickly. An election would mean the end to all that, and for an awful lot of people. But I think that the only way now to really get through to the heart of this matter is for each of us to have our individual say on the election process. You know, as one of our Canary Road members off to work, God bless him, he's had his coffee and away he goes. But now I think this is the time for us to have a real say, and that any candidate puts themselves forward and states quite clearly their position on Brexit, because that is the key issue. It's got to be done and dusted. Now, why should we worry about that in Lewis particularly? Because it's impacting on all sorts of other things. Social care has gone through the window. There are a few dedicated professionals trying hard to keep it going, but nobody knows what the hell is going to happen from Westminster at any given moment, and that's not good enough. Law and order going through the window. The coppers are virtually useless. They've got to the point where they are now being sneered at and giggled at, and who's doing anything about it? Because our MPs are choked. Transport. The service is diabolical. Standing room only on trains, no matter what time of day you go or come back. No attempt whatsoever to redress the issue. No suggestions of new investment, so that at least on major lines, the rolling stock should be livestock. I suppose what I'm thinking about is, at the moment, we're surrounded by a whole load of bull. Livestock comes to mind. Rolling stock is not good enough. It's not good enough to have to stand on your train to London. Now, admittedly, in the old slam door era, in which I feel now privileged to hit part on, particularly on the way home in the evening, is you pile into the buffet car and you've got your gin and tonic. And you complain mildly about the fact that you've got to stand with your gin and tonic in the hand. And a seat becomes available and it stays empty because nobody wants to go and sit at it in case they miss the conversation. The crack, as they would say in all that. You don't want to miss the crack. And it was all good-natured. And yes, it would criticise the railways and it would criticise the government. But there was no angst in it. There was no bitterness that you find in conversations now. That is, if you can find a conversation on the train. Because there are no buffet cars left. Thank you, the modern people. They took away the buffet car. Railways killed the buffet car. Well, not first thing in the morning, Keith, for God's sake. But they also, because they haven't got enough rolling stock to accommodate the passengers, they took away the dolly trolleys or the trolley dollies or whatever. So you can't even buy something in your seat. It is stark, simple, brutal transport that we've got. And why has nothing been done about it? Because of the complete chaos in Westminster. I told you about the police, but even law and order has gone out of the window. Now, I was talking yesterday afternoon to a former Lord Justice, and he makes great common sense when he describes the role of the Supreme Court. But, as he pointed out, what they're saying is they're really smacking Boris's fingers for what he's done. They're not laying down policy or law that must be followed in the future. Governments just have to be more careful the way that they go to the court and ask for arbitration. And that really is what the lords, if you like, are all about, is about interpretation. Have you got it right? We try to balance the arguments on one side or another. But even that has gone out of the window in this complete and utter chaos. Who can we trust anymore in government? The NHS, people keep on yelling for more investment. More investment isn't the answer. I'm not saying it doesn't need more investment, but it's not the answer. It's not the situation where more money doesn't necessarily solve it. It needs sorting out from head to toe. It's just a mess. And I could go on and on and on. And these are the things that are being impacted in local communities such as those in Lewis. And they are impacted in as much as the local council is all at sea. And why wouldn't it be if Big Brother isn't giving it direction? How on earth, particularly with so many new councillors, can we expect efficiency? But we should expect efficiency from the executive, the people who are supposed to be as civil servants. They're supposed to know exactly how to keep things going while the politicians are either changing or developing or whatever. It's not happening. And they're getting as much chaos now in Eastbourne. So the merger, all people who said, oh well, this will really help, is that Eastbourne is being suffered now. So we're going to go through a period of complete and utter disarray, and the sooner it's sorted out, the better. And I think that sort out can be done at the polls. Sort out can be done very quickly. Jeremy Corbyn won't take the bait. He won't pass a no confidence motion in Boris, because I suspect he knows that even if Boris doesn't win, his Jeremy is going to lose. Well, we want you all to lose, thank you, and we'll start again. We want you all down at the Labour Exchange. And the problem with that, of course, is that suddenly we're going to put 600 people into the market who can't do anything, have no talents, have no idea of how to do anything outside being in Parliament. So that in itself has become apathetic, not representing the people, not giving us a solid platform on which to create jobs, create new services, to make old services efficient, to stop crime on the streets. We need the situation, the system settled. Sorry if I'm being a bit gloomy this morning. But we keep on meeting crisis after crisis after crisis, and that's doing the country no good. Perhaps it's a deliberate ploy to weaken us to the point that in negotiations with the EU, whatever those negotiations may be, is that we're going to be the weak system. We're not going to be the people. Be in the forefront of the debate. We can make demands and hope and expect that those demands will be met. Okie dokie. It's about time that we stop the gloom and the doom, if only we could. I did have a very pleasant day. I've had 2 pleasant days in London. And I am in a privileged position where I can sit and I can talk to people who see things perhaps far more clearly than I do, because they have far greater knowledge. But one of the things that is really nice, that even in the present circumstances, and even with the past weather, I'm privileged to be able to sit outside in the middle of London, in the Queen's Garden, sipping on whatever I want to sip on. But let's say, because I've got Parkinson's and it's good medicine, champagne. You can't beat it. And 2 days ago, a friend of mine and I went to Rules, the oldest London restaurant in London. The food is still incredibly good. The service is top-notch. The waiters still look as if they're out of the 18th century. And one other young lady who is a member of our Canary Row group here, she's had her coffee, and indeed I would like mine. So we're into the last minute, and I can't anymore trot up to London for the next few days. I've got far too much to do, even though I was in London for meeting. So I'm not going to be able to go into that wonderful world of courtesy, consideration and kindness at the Travellers Club in London. Instead, I've got to try and do my bit to help hammer out a solution to the nonsense that we've got at federal or national, if you wish, regional, county and local, district and parish, in our case, town. Stephen Catlin will be with you later this week, because he's been gathering up all sorts of things that are happening on the local scene at the local district council. And what will he do? In his very lively and spirited manner, he will let you know just how we are getting poor service. That's it for this morning. May your examiner be very, very sympathetic to whatever it is he's examining you on. Till tomorrow, Keith Hayes, Mirador Television, Lewis, East Sussex, in the state of the United Kingdom, saying toodle pip.